Now we will continue our reading from Canto 8, from The Brilliant as the Sun, a retelling of Srimad Bhagavatam, Enchanting Pastimes. We will begin chapter 3, Gajendra liberated. Mukham karoti vachalam pangum langhate girim yat kripatamam vande Shri Gurum Deentarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram Hariyom Tatsat. Parikshit had a doubt. Gajendra was an elephant. How did he know that he would be saved by surrendering to Krishna? Shukadev said in his previous life Gajendra was the great devotee. King Indradyumna, therefore, by Krishna's grace, he received the intelligence to fix his mind on the Lord and recite a mantra he knew in his life as Indradyumna. Listen to what happened next. Feeling helpless, Gajendra prayed, I meditate on the Supreme Lord, the original person from whom everything has come and on whom it all depends. He is worshipped even by the great deities Brahma and Shiva. Only because he accompanies us, individual souls as the super souls, do our material bodies function. However, although the entire material cosmos comes from and depends on him, he is different and independent. The Lord expands his energy to create and destroy the material universes. He is everything, and at the same time transcendental to everything. I now seek his protection. He alone continues to exist after the cosmic annihilation. However, no one perceives him, just as the audience does not recognize an actor on stage. Virtuous sages desire to attain the shelter of his lotus like feet, as do I. He has no material birth, form, name, or qualities. Nevertheless, he appears in the material world in a human like form through his spiritual energy. He is supremely powerful, and in all his incarnations he acts wonderfully. I offer him my respects, for although he cannot be detected by any material method, excuse me, he sees all. He enables those who serve him in transcendental love to realize him and thus experience the greatest happiness. I offer my obeisance to his transcendental incarnations, his form as the material universe, and his manifestation as the impersonal Brahman effulgence. The crocodile pulled Gajendra still deeper into the lake. The elephant could barely keep his trunk above the water. He could not last much longer. He trembled in fear. Would the Lord help him? He prayed even more fervently. O Supreme Lord, I offer you my obeisance. You are the Super Soul, the Supreme Controller and witness of everything. My body and everything else in this world are yours. Please remove my doubts. Please show me how this universe is your shadow and only appears to have substance because of you. My Lord, cause of all causes, including the scriptures and the saintly teachers, I bow to you. You shelter your devotees, freeing us from our material entanglement, just as fire is present in Arani wood, even when not manifest. You are present everywhere, even though unseen. Thus, you know everything, being independent. You can reveal yourself in the minds of your pure devotees. Even though I am dumb animal, I surrender to you, since you are free to do as you wish. Please release me from this dangerous situation. I know that being supremely merciful, you reside in my heart and are always trying to rescue me from the repetition of birth and death, but I have foolishly rejected your help until now. Nevertheless, I know you never give up on us out of anger. Therefore, I offer you, who perfectly knows everything, my respect. Tears welled in Gajendra's eyes. Why had he turned away from the Lord for so long? He lamented. The pure-hearted do not wait for calamities to think of you. They never forget you. Those like me who are overly attached to material enjoyment with family and friends think ourselves very powerful, find it difficult to attain you. Only by mercy am I now becoming free of these false attachments. Therefore, I offer you my respectful obeisance. Still the crocodile dragged Gajendra farther into the lake. Soon only his head and tusks were visible. Gajendra berated himself. He had been so proud of his strength and used his time to enjoy unlimited sexual pleasure with his many wives. Now look at his condition. What was the value of such materialistic life which must end in suffering? Straining to keep his head above the waters with the crocodile's jaws still clamped around his leg, Gajendra trumpeted his prayer up to the skies. O unlimitedly merciful Lord, you are famous for fulfilling the desires of even those who worship you for material happiness and liberation. Indeed, out of your causeless mercy, you even sometimes give such worshippers a place in your abode. Please deliver me both from this present danger and material life. Again and again he repented. If I were a true devotee, I would not ask you for anything because my mind would be merged in transcendental happiness by hearing, chanting, and remembering you. Alas, my Lord, I am a fallen soul, I am frightened, and I beg you to please protect me. The crocodile pulled him into deeper water, but still the Lord did not appear. Only Gajendra's eyes and trunk remained above the surface. By Krishna's grace, prayers he knew in his previous life continued to come his mind. My Lord, you have two types of expansions, minor and major. Minor expansions include all conditioned souls from Lord Brahma and the personified Vedic rituals down to the lowest of the creatures. The major expansions are your Vishnu forms and your empowered incarnations. The conditioned souls are like sparks of fire or the sun's rays. The different layers of material covering, like the mind, intelligence, senses, and the modes of nature, are also your minor expansions. You are the source of everything, yet are simultaneously aloof. When all else is negated, you alone remain. All glory to you, the unlimited Supreme Person. As his head submerged, he heard the Supersoul in his heart. Do you desire to be rescued so you can continue your life as the king of elephants? A sense of detachment had awoken in Gajendra's heart. No, my lord, I no longer wish to live in this elephant's body, even if you release me from this crocodile's jaws. Then what do you want? I desire that freedom which cannot be destroyed by time, freedom from ignorance. Gajendra prayed with all his heart, Lord, Supreme Person, you create the universe and yet you are transcendental to it. You are unborn, always supreme, and you know everything. I offer you my obeisance and beg you to release me from this material existence. Tears rolled down Gajendra's face. What hope is there for me to attain you? I am just an animal. Great devotees achieve freedom from birth and death by performing bhakti yoga. But I cannot do so. You only protect those who have fully surrendered to you. Since I have never practiced controlling my senses, I am not eligible to receive your mercy, without which no one can appreciate your greatness or sweetness. Deep in Gajendra's heart, a small voice spoke to him. It is not too late to surrender. Gajendra called out, I surrender to you, my lord, by whose energy I have forgotten my real spiritual identity and think I am an elephant. In the heavens, the gods observed everything, but none moved to help Gajendra. One Gandharv said, should we assist him? Why should we? Retorted Indra. Gajendra has neither glorified us nor prayed to us. If anything, he belittled us by calling us minor expansions. Let the Supreme Lord, in whom he has so much faith, come and rescue him. The Gandharva said, the Lord does not get involved in petty troubles of this world. He has appointed you gods to deal with that, to protect the righteous. The elephant should be considered that before scorning our authority, it seems he will now die. Just then they saw an effulgent four-armed form riding on the back of a great eagle, descending from above and moving swiftly toward Gajendra. With him were Brahma on his swan carrier and Shiva on his bull. They were reciting prayers glorifying Vishnu. Indra and the other gods looked on in surprise. That is Lord Vishnu on Garud's back, said Chandra. It seems he wishes to show his mercy to this elephant. See how quickly he hurries to him, carrying his disc and other weapons. Worried that Vishnu would disapprove of this supercilious attitude toward Gajendra, they all quickly called for their mounts and hurried to accompany him. Gajendra, screaming in pain, was being forcefully pulled under the water. Seeing Lord Vishnu wielding his disc, riding toward him on Garud's back, he used his last strength to pluck a lotus flower with his trunk. He offered it up to Vishnu with these words, O my Lord Narayan, Master of the universe, O Supreme Person, please accept my obeisance. Anxious that Garud would not reach the distressed elephant in time to save him, Lord Narayan leapt from his carrier's back and dashed toward him. He seized Gajendra and pulled him and the crocodile onto the shore. As the gods watched in astonishment, he severed the crocodile's head from his body and saved Gajendra. Shukadev said, when the Supreme Lord... Now we're going to start. This was the end of chapter 3. Now, chapter 4, Gajendra's past life. Let's begin. Shukadev said, when the Supreme Lord rescued Gajendra, all the gods, sages and Gandharvas, headed by Brahma and Shiva, praised him and showered flowers on them both. Musicians in the heavens beat kettle drums while the Gandharvas sang and danced. The sages from Charanlok and Siddhalok recited eloquent prayers glorifying the Lord. Shukadev paused and looked at Parikshit as if to say that was the end of the history of Gajendra's deliverance. Parikshit was intrigued to know more. The crocodile was highly blessed to be killed by Vishnu. How did he achieve such good fortune? In his previous life he was King Huhu, the Gandharva leader, replied Shukadev. Once while playing in the lake with women, he grabbed sage Devala by his foot and pulled him under. Devala became angry and cursed him to become a crocodile. However, after Huhu pacified him, he blessed him that Vishnu would personally free him from the curse when he attacked Gajendra. When he was released from the crocodile body, Huhu remembered this incident and offered the Lord many prayers of glorification. Then, freed of all sinful reactions by Krishna's causeless mercy, he circumambulated the Lord, offered his obeisance, and in the presence of all the gods, headed by Brahma, returned to Gandharvlok. What happened to Gajendra after his rescue? Asked Parikshit. He was immediately freed from the elephant's body and all material ignorance. Touched by the Supreme Lord's hands, he attained the liberation known as Sarupya Mukti. In other words, he achieved a body just like the Lord's with 4 hands and wearing yellow garments. Please tell me more about his previous life, said Parikshit. As the great devotee King Indradyumna, he ruled Pandya, a country in the southern India. At the appropriate age, King Indradyumna retired from the family life and went to an ashram in the Malaya hills. He lived like a hermit with matted locks, always engaged in asceticism. Once observing a vow of silence, he became absorbed in worshipping the Lord while in a trance of ecstatic love. At that time, the sage Agastya happened to arrive at his ashram along with his many disciples. Indradyumna, unaware of his presence, failed to greet or offer him any hospitality. Infuriated, Agastya uttered the following curse. This King Indradyumna has no manners, he is degraded and unintelligent. Otherwise, how could he so brazenly insult a Brahmin? Therefore I curse him to receive an ignorant body befitting his mentality. Let him become an elephant. As soon as he spoke these words, Indradyumna's breathing became difficult. He opened his eyes to see Agastya and his disciples marching away. Grasping his throat, he fell to the ground. What was happening to him? One of the Agastya's disciples felt sorry to see his distress and bewilderment. He hung back and told the dying king that what had happened. Indradyumna felt no anger toward Agastya for his harsh treatment. He welcomed the curse, accepting it as Krishna's will. Due to his devotional service as Indradyumna, he remembered how to worship and offer prayers to Vishnu even when in an elephant's body. Consequently, the Lord delivered him simultaneously from the crocodile's clutches and material existence, which resemble a crocodile. He was awarded a form like the Lord's. Then, while Gandharvas, Siddhas, and other gods sang hymns glorifying the Lord, Narayan seated Gajendra on the back of Garuda with him, and together they returned to his eternal spiritual abode. Shukadev drew a deep breath. Thus ends the history of how Krishna wonderfully rescued Gajendra, the Elephant King. My dear Parikshit, best among the Kurus, just by hearing this history, anyone can be promoted to the higher planets, become reputed as a great saintly devotee, be protected from the bad qualities of Kali Yuga, and never experience nightmares. If due to committing sinful activities you experience a bad dream, you should recite this history as soon as you wake up to become free of any lingering mental disturbance. So this is the Falashruti, the result of the prayers. If we can recite when we're feeling distressed, we can get the peace and calmness. Parikshit said, "Not everyone knows this story." "That's true," replied Shukadev. "However, Vaishyas, Kshatriyas and Brahmins who have studied under a bona fide spiritual master will probably know it. Certainly Vaishnavas will." Parikshit nodded. "May I ask if Lord Narayan said anything to Gajendra after rescuing him?" Shukadev beamed with pleasure on hearing this question. Yes, Lord Narayan was so pleased with Gajendra that he blessed him in the presence of all the celestials. The Lord said, "To any pious souls who rise early and meditate on my eternal form, my energies, my expansions and associates, on this pastime with you and the prayers you have offered me, I will grant an eternal residence in the spiritual world at the end of their lives." Then the Lord blew his conch, the Panchjanya whose transcendental sound is most pleasing to the celestials, and departed on the back of Garuda. Shaunak and the sages were struck with wonder. They were amazed that a dumb elephant attained Vaikuntha, a goal which even great mystics found difficult to achieve. Shaunak said, "Has anyone noticed the similarity between this history and that of Parikshit?" An elderly ascetic said, "Both Indradyumna and Parikshit were cursed for an unwitting offense." "Exactly," said Shaunak. "Furthermore, neither became angry nor retaliated. Is that not remarkable?" "Devotees are always tolerant," Suta replied. "We also saw this with Chitraketu, who did not become angry when unfairly cursed by Mother Parvati." "How is this possible?" asked Shaunak. "Anger is such a powerful emotion." Many sages muttered in agreement. One said, "Even the Mother of the Universe, Parvati, fell victim to anger." "True," agreed another sage. "We ascetics who have controlled our eating, mating and sleeping are also susceptible to anger." Turning to Sutta, he asked, "What is the devotee's special secret, dear Sutta? How is it they can forgive even those who wrong them?" Sutta said, "This prayer may shed light on their excellent character, my dear Lord. One who earnestly waits for you to bestow your causeless mercy upon him, all the while patiently suffering the reactions of his past misdeeds, and offering you all respects with his heart, words, and body, is surely eligible for liberation, for it has become his rightful claim." A young Brahmin said, "I thought Krishna protects his surrendered devotees from the reactions of their past misdeeds. So what is the question of them patiently suffering such reactions?" "Krishna certainly protects his surrendered devotee from his past sinful reactions," said Sutta. "However, until we are established in our eternal relationship with Krishna, there will be slight inclination to enjoy false material happiness. Krishna rectifies this tendency by giving some small punishments." I'll repeat these lines. "Krishna certainly protects his surrendered devotees from his past sinful reactions," said Sutta. "However, until we are established in our eternal relationship with Krishna, there will be a slight inclination to enjoy false material happiness. Krishna rectifies this tendency by giving some small punishments. These may resemble sinful reactions, but it is the Lord's special mercy for inducing his devotee to make further spiritual advancement." The sages loudly cheered, and Shaunak asked Sutta to continue narrating Shukadev's instructions to Parikshit. So next time we will continue with chapter 5, the gods cursed. So thank you for joining. Hari Om Tat Sat. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. All glories to Gajendra.